When I was in my early 30s, my teacher told me something I didn't understand at the time. He said, "Kenji, the greatest human stupidity is thinking that you still have time." I laughed. I was 32. I was young, busy, and absolutely certain that an eternity lay ahead. Today, I am 94 years old, and today I want to tell you one thing that I only understood in my old age, one thing that, had I known it at 40, could have saved me years of life and rescued what I almost destroyed. But first, let me tell you how I almost lost it all. I was born in a small coastal town in northern Japan. My father was a fisherman. My mother was a teacher. We didn't have much money in our house, but we had a rhythm. We woke up with the dawn. We went to sleep with the dark. We ate what grew nearby. I didn't think of it as some special way of life. I just lived. And I didn't know that this rhythm was the most valuable thing my parents had passed on to me. I didn't know it until I destroyed it with my own hands. I moved to Tokyo at 20. I became a pharmacist. I worked in a large hospital. I saw people with dead eyes, tired, broken, lost, and every time I thought, how could they let themselves get to this point? It seemed to me that they just lacked willpower, that I was different. I was 48 when my body started talking to me, quietly at first. Morning fatigue, then insomnia. I would lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling while everything spun in my head at once. Work, debts, to-do lists, a conversation I hadn't finished 3 days ago. Then came the pain, in my back, in my joints. I was a pharmacist. I knew what to take. I silenced the signals instead of listening to them. And then, one morning, I woke up and caught myself with a strange thought. I couldn't remember the last time I felt alive. Not just healthy, alive, with the desire to get up and start the day. I lay there, and it was raining outside, and the city lights were blurring against the wet glass, and I became truly afraid. Not of the pain, of the emptiness. That moment changed everything. I took a vacation, my first in 7 years. I went home, to the north. I spent 3 weeks there alone. No phone, no schedule. The first few days, I just lay there. I slept, stared at the wall. It was as if my body disconnected from everything I called life and started doing something of its own, something internal, of which I had no idea. And then one morning I walked out in the yard and saw the sunrise over the sea. An ordinary Japanese morning. I had seen thousands of them in my childhood, but in that moment something tightened in my throat, because I suddenly realized I hadn't seen a sunrise in several years. I always woke up either too late or too busy. I had missed thousands of such mornings. They existed, but I wasn't in them. And that was when I first understood the body makes no mistakes. It is we who make the mistake when we stop listening to it. The first thing I did upon returning was reclaim my night. It sounds simple, but if you understand what I'm talking about, you know that it's not simple at all. I went to bed at 10 o'clock in the evening, put the phone away, didn't watch the news.
The first few weeks I lay in the dark and just breathed. My head kept working, spinning plans, anxieties, unfinished business. But I didn't fight it. I just lay there and breathed, over and over. And my body remembered. Slowly, reluctantly, but it remembered what true peace is. The strangest thing is this. I thought that if I slept more, I would lose time. I lived by the logic that sleep is a loss. But it turned out to be exactly the opposite. When I started truly getting enough sleep, I gained a few extra hours every day. Clear, vibrant hours, because I stopped wasting them fighting the fog in my own head.
That was the first thing, but not the hardest. The hardest part was admitting that I had turned eating into an obligation. I ate at my desk. I ate in front of a screen. I ate quickly without tasting anything. Once I caught myself finishing lunch, and I couldn't remember exactly what I had eaten. I had simply pressed the recharge button and moved on. In my childhood, my mother used to say, "When you eat, eat. Just sit and eat. Don't think about work. Don't rush." I used to think this was a cliché. I only understood in my late 50s that there is an entire philosophy in those 3 words. Food gives not only calories, it gives something else, something that cannot be absorbed if you are not present in that moment. I reclaimed my lunch, a real, slow one, no screens, overlooking the garden if possible. And within a few months, the stomach that had ached for years settled down, without pills, simply because I started eating like a human being, not a machine. If you recognize yourself right now in what I am describing, write about it in the comments. Seriously, not for my sake, for yours. Because when you say out loud, "I am not living my own life," something inside begins to change. I've seen it for myself, and I read every word you write. Then I reclaimed movement. Not working out, movement. These are completely different things. At 40, I tried the gym. I would exhaust myself until my vision went dark, and then lie there broken for 2 days. I thought this was the right way. No pain, no gain. But there was no gain. There was only the feeling that the body is an enemy that must be overcome by force. In the north, I just started walking, every morning along the shore. Slowly at first, the shore there is rocky, then faster. Then I started doing the exercises my father had taught me, an old Japanese gymnastics, very slow, almost like a dance. Every movement is like a question the body asks itself. How are you? What hurts? What wants to move? The body answered. Every single time it answered. I am 94 now. I wake up without pain. I walk without a cane. And this is no accident. It is cumulative, day after day, year after year. But do you know what the most unexpected discovery of all these years was? Not sleep, not food, not movement. I was 65 when my old friend Takashi died. We studied together, worked side by side. He was a cheerful, energetic man. He seemed eternal. He died of a stroke. He was 67. At the funeral, his wife said to me, quietly, just as a fact, he never learned how to stop. I was riding the train home and couldn't get those words out of my head. Takashi never stopped.
always building, planning, achieving something. Even on vacation, he worked. His body tried to tell him something. He didn't listen, and then everything ended very quickly. And then a realization washed over me that made me physically sick. I was living exactly the same way. I was just another Takashi. I was simply lucky. My body spoke to me louder than I could ignore. Vitality is not about how much you manage to get done. It's about how much you manage to recover. The body spends and recovers, spends and recovers. It's a cycle. When you disrupt it, the debt accumulates quietly for years, and then it comes due at all once, without warning. I started guarding my pauses. It sounds strange, but that's how it is. The world presses on you constantly. There's always something urgent, always someone waiting. If you don't learn to say no to that pressure, the pause will never happen.
5 minutes in the morning, just to sit and breathe, look out the window, not plan, not check the phone, just be myself. Not an employee, not a father, not a patient, just me. At first it seemed pointless. I wasn't doing anything, after all. But then I realized these are the most important 5 minutes of the day, because in those minutes I returned myself to myself. And now, the final piece, the thing that is hardest for me to talk about. My son is now 68, a smart, kind, handsome man. For a long time, we barely spoke. We didn't fight. I was just always busy. He would call. I promised to call back. He would visit. I was rushing somewhere. I loved him, but love without presence is just a word. One day we were sitting together. I was already in my 70s, and he said quietly, without resentment, "Dad, I spent my entire childhood feeling like a guest in my own house." I couldn't find the words to answer. I just took his hand and held it. That was the most painful minute of my life, more painful than any physical agony, because I realized all this time I thought I was working for my family, but in reality I was just running away into busyness, into importance, into endless to-do lists, and I missed the only thing that gave any of this meaning. We cannot get the past back, but we can change what is here right now. For the last 25 years, my son and I have been true friends. He visits every month. We cook together. We talk about serious things and about nonsense. And every time he leaves, I think, this is it. This is what makes a long life worth living. People who live a long time, they don't live long because they eat a special kind of rice or do special exercises. They live long because someone needs them, because every morning they have a reason to get up, not an obligation, a reason. The difference is enormous. Obligation wears you down. A reason nourishes you. I am 94. This morning I woke up before dawn, walked into the yard. I have a small garden, green onions, azaleas, an old plum tree by the fence. I stood there listening to the birds, did my gymnastics, drank my tea slowly, looking at the garden, called my son, just because, for no reason. And then I sat down here and told you all of this. Not because I want to teach,
I am tired of teaching. I do it because it's a pity that no one told me this at 30, at 40, even at 50. No one sat next to me and said, "Kenji, stop. Listen to your body. Look at the people next to you. This is what's important." In the beginning, I promised you one thing I understood in my old age. Here it is. A long life is the result of returning to yourself a little bit every day, to your body, to your people, to the silence that lets you hear what truly matters. Not tomorrow, today, right now. Start with one night. Just truly sleep. No phone nearby, no anxieties that you purposely drag with you into the dark. Allow your body to do what it was created to do, and see who you wake up as in the morning. A long life doesn't begin at 100 years old. It begins on the night you finally allow yourself to rest.